All right, good to have you join us on Youth Assembly. This new week is the 19th day of April 2021. And yes, it's so many people's birthday, including someone special, my son. Happy birthday to everyone who is celebrating today. And if it's your anniversary, well, happy anniversary. Well, today we look at how to improve the school curriculum in Nigeria. So, Nigeria or schools churn out competitive students into the labor market. Let's see how we do that in this discussion with Nurat Liadi, who is an educationist. Welcome, Nurat.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see how we can improve the school curriculum. What is even wrong with the existing one and what can be done? What kind of students do we have? Those are the kind of discussion we are looking at having today. And so the question for you to answer is how can the school curriculum be improved so Nigeria gains more competitive students? So we'd like you to drop a comment. And if you have questions for the experts, who is an educationist, you can ask. My name is Sylvia Ishimi. Okay, so the failure of the
Okay,
education.
thank you, Sylvia.
All right, so before I ask you your question, let me do a little intro. So just hold on, Nurat. I know you're itching to say something. So the failure of the educational sector has increased the incidence of poverty, crimes, deprivation of the vulnerable in the country, and even the unemployment rate. So this is because the quality of some graduates from the Nigerian institutions is nothing to write home about and has further dampened the integrity of the nation's educational sector. A typical example, one will begin to ask questions like, what is the method of teaching used in Nigerian institutions? What kind of reforms should we be looking at for Nigeria's educational system? Those are the questions we intend to answer today, and look at how to also churn out graduates with higher results in Nigeria institutions so that they are competitive both
I'm
in Nigeria
struggling to hear you.
and when they
I
travel
can't seem
abroad.
to hear you
Can you hear me
anymore.
now? I can hear you loud and clear. Can
I
you?
can, yes, I can hear you now. You're back.
So, Nuras, before we look at the kind of reforms that will revive the Nigeria educational system, let's start with looking at the present state of the educational sector in Nigeria. So many schools resumed today. Some of them have upped the game. Some are yet to. Some are going back. Students are going back to what is obtainable. While some changes have been made, especially in private institutions. So, tell us what have you seen so far in the educational sector that need reform?
Um, Thank you for your question. As we know, the educational sector is very vital, and I can't say we're in the best situation right now. A lot of our schools are not well equipped. A lot of teachers are not well equipped to do what they have to do. A lot of schools are not even purpose built. So we've been saying this for a long time. A lot of work has to be done in the educational sector, but how do we start? We need the political will. It's our government. I mean, I went to public schools. My secondary school was a public school. My university is a public school. How many of us can send our kids or our wards to public schools? Does the government have political will? Is the government ready for a reformation? Are they ready to invest in the educational sector? Are they ready to train teachers? These things can happen magically. Funds need to go into it. Efforts need to go into it. Training needs to go into it. So we need like a rehabilitation of the whole sector. And it begins with the will of the government. Do they want to do it? Do they see it as vital? You
Mm,
know?
mm. You said something about so many of the institutions not purpose built. What do you mean by that? If you can elaborate for our viewers
Okay,
and
so a lot of private schools, especially, they can just convert a one bedroom to a school. They're not purpose built. We know for schools, the spaces should be there. They should have spaces to play. They should have laboratories. They should have, computer labs. But a lot of schools don't even have these because they were not purpose built. Someone just converted their one bedroom flat to a school. So they lack these amenities, and it does affect learning to some extent. You see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we have comments already. So the question for you, thank you, Constant Nosa Olotu, for your question. But the question we are putting out is, how can the Nigerian educational system be improved, or the curriculum be improved, so that the schools churn out great students, competitive students in the labor market? And Constant Nosa Olotu is already saying that digital literacy should be included. Do you agree, Norat?
I couldn't have said it better than Constant. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, I was just thinking to myself today that when my child gets to a certain age, he needs to start learning to earn money. And what are people using to earn money now? It's not their certificates from the university. It's
Mm.
how to advertise on Facebook. It's how to automate sales. It's how to learn coding. These are the skills for the 21st century. There's no point teaching children things they're not going to use in life. There's no point teaching theory. So digital literacy is vital. That's where the money is, the different kinds of currencies, how to do this online. That's where the world is moving now. So yes, it should be included. And again, everything goes back. Are we ready for a reorientation? Are schools equipped? Do teachers even know how to incorporate these ideas into their everyday learning?
Digital literacy included in the curriculum. Is that what you're saying, Nurat?
Absolutely should. We should have digital skills. We should.
Okay.
Should. People
Okay.
need to know how to create apps. That's how everyone is earning these days. Look, because of a particular software, you can do a professional stream. I'm in my house, you're in your office, we're in different states, but we're meeting. This is part of digital literacy. Someone
Mm.
has made this possible because they had the knowledge of creating a software that can allow you stream to different platforms. This is part of what we should be learning,
Mhm.
because this is what we're using. At the end of the day, education is for purpose. You're not educating people for the sake of educating people. You're educating them so they can do something with what they've learned.
All right. So Constant went further to say global standard digital literacy certification should be mandatory for teachers. So, what do you
Ex-
think? Thank you,
Exactly what
Constant.
I've been saying. Thank you so much, Constant. Your views are highly appreciated, and I couldn't agree with you more. Exactly what we've been saying. Teachers cannot give what they don't have. Sylvia, I have colleagues that don't even have a computer. I'm telling you, I have colleagues that can't afford a computer. I have colleagues that their schools can't give them a computer to use. They can't afford it. So how? How are these teachers going to get certified? You can't give what you don't have. You see, so a lot of work has to be done, and it starts from the bottom before it gets rippled to the student.
When you say the bottom, what do you mean? Starts from who?
I mean, it starts from the teachers. It starts from the teachers, yeah, that's what I mean. And then from that, it keeps going to others.
Hmm. Okay, so a week ago we saw this viral post. So a guy who graduated with third class here in Nigeria, is now topping his class in Canada. You can imagine. When I saw that story, I couldn't believe it. So where he went further to say that education was all over, that further his education in Canada. And the question is, what would you say was wrong in this instance? Somebody who had a third class in Nigeria, and when he got to Canada, he is topping his class and he is a first class material already. What is going on? What could be wrong, Norat, in your
Okay,
opinion?
this is a discussion I've always had for close to a decade. There could be a million things. Number one, there could be the motivation. The fact that you traveled out of your country to learn could
Mhm.
be motivating enough for you to want to do your best. That's number one. Number two, a lot of us move around with cognitive disorders. There are people that have things like dyslexia, which means they're not good with words. There are people that have things like there are people that have challenges like dyscalculia, which means they're not good with numbers. But we have a system in Nigeria that is rigid. If
Hmm.
you can't if you can't read and give what your lecturer says, you're in trouble. But there are other systems whereby they accept oral feedback, or they assess you based on different things. Our mode of assessment is quite rigid in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, if you're not someone who can cram to a large extent, you might struggle. You might struggle in succeeding in your exams, because a lot of our questions are based on memorization. It's not really application of knowledge. So for example, Sylvia, in schools, they still ask questions like, what is a computer? I mean, when I see questions like that, it annoys me. Define a computer. So they expect the child, like, a computer is an electronic device that you use to type
Just
things.
call it.
For me,
What
in
is
my opinion,
agriculture? Those kind of questions. True. True.
to me, that's not necessary. Who cares what a computer is? How about you ask them, what can you do with the computer? What does this part of the computer do? What do you need to do if you want to send an email? So the way we set our questions, it's not a lot of times it doesn't provoke critical thinking. It's based on memorizing definitions, and that's a huge issue. However, in developed countries, there's a lot of application thing. You don't have to memorize anything. And even the mode of questions, there are pictures, there's practical. In Nigeria, sometimes we're testing kids that are 5 years old, and it's all text, no pictures. It's not stimulating. We don't cater to all kinds of learning needs. Some people are auditory, they learn better when they hear. Some people are visual, they learn better when they see pictures, when they see people. Some people are kinesthetic, they learn better when they're working with their hands, when things are hands-on. But sadly here, we just model everything up, and if you're strong in only one part, you're going to suffer in the other part. And of course, there's encouragement. Sylvia, I don't need to tell you that in Nigeria, some of our lecturers get a lot of delight in failing students. They get a kick out of failing students. They feel like when students fail their courses, it makes them epic. It makes them the great
I'll give you
lecturers.
a true story. But after this comment, so we have Pastor Joe Barnabas. Thank you, Pastor, for joining again today. He said digital literacy is a sure way out. The world has changed and it's changing daily. We have to move on with the changing times. Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you for your comments. So back to lecturers who delight in failing students. So a true story here. Somebody shared. So a lecturer came into the classroom and said, if you know, because he was stern looking and all, if you know that you're not ready for this class, and I am going to fail anybody who is not ready, leave this class. And a lot of students left because he threatened them that he's going to fail them. And at the end of the semester, can you hear me, Nurat?
I can hear you. I think you've gone off.
Nurat, can you hear me now? Hello, Nurat. Okay, so
I can hear you.
okay, so it's used assembly, and we are looking at improving Nigerian school curriculum so that the country gains educated or competitive students. So how do you think the curriculum can be improved on? That is a question we're asking today so that we gain more competitive students. Please make sure that you share this video and, of course, comment and ask questions if you have any so that our guests can answer. Yeah, she's an expert, Liadi, an educationist. So the lecturer comes into this class and threatens students. I am going to fail you if you're not ready. Like he said it in such a way that they were just scared. And all the students just ran away from that class. Nobody attended that course. And at the end of the day, just a few students, 5 or so, ended up staying in that class. But they passed because the man came with threats and students left. So threatening students, what does it do to them? Norat, what
That's
do you
the
think it
thing.
does?
Mindsets are powerful. Sylvia, mindsets are powerful. I'm never going to forget one of my lecturers from the University of Lagos, Professor Aribi Sala. I think about her a lot. She was this lecturer that whichever answer you give, she's going to validate it. She never tells you you are wrong. You see, whatever answer you give, she was a literature professor, and she will try to find something right about what you said and correct you. And what did this do for us as students? We wanted to answer in her class. We wanted to try because we knew that no matter what we do, we'll be encouraged and validated. Mindsets are powerful. Some lecturers feel when they threaten, that's when people will take their course seriously. If your
Mm.
course is fun, if your course is relatable. I remember another amazing lecture of mine as well. Every lecture time there was a story. He always had a story about his family or his experiences, and we always looked forward to his courses. So people need to relax. They need to chill. If your class is fun, if your class is relatable, if you break your class well, if you use visuals to get people engaged, people will love your class. You don't need to scare the hell out of them to make them like your class. But you know, old habits die hard. Some people are going to say, well, that was how my lecturer taught me in 1980, 1922. So I have to pass down the strategy. But no, things have changed. Things have changed. People want to do things. People want to be able to relate to something. If your teaching is relatable, people are going to like it and people are going to do well to a large extent.
Okay, so you talked about learning styles. So, what kind of learning styles can, apart from um, bringing up pictures, you mentioned pictures. What kind of learning styles can be introduced in the curriculum so that students are all carried along? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I know you also mentioned the different kind of students that we have in school. So carrying them along
absolutely.
is important, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
the kinesthetic learning style works for almost everyone. When people can do
So what is that?
something,
What
they
is that
remember.
kind of learning style? What is it?
Kinesthetic is another word for that is tactile, and what it basically means is doing. Okay, so auditory are those that learn better when they hear. I'm an auditory learner as well. I remember things a lot when I hear it, and I'm also visual. A lot of people are visual. They have to see. Even if you're just lecturing them, it won't work. They have to see the text. They have to be able to read it. That's how it gets plastered in their brain. And kinesthetic is hands-on. They have to cut, they have to act it out, they have to jump around with it.
Mm.
So kinesthetic learning sometimes it's not really used here. Number one, like I said, some of our classes are not even purpose built, so they're not spacious enough for children to move around. And also mindset. Experts say when children are playing, they are learning. But some of us feel when children play, they don't
You're
learn.
wasting
Some
time.
of us don't,
True,
some
true.
of us don't know that children learn best when you joke with them. Anytime I'm trying to teach my son, sometimes I'm tickling him, I'm making him laugh because when he's laughing, he's relaxed, he's happy, and he learns. But people have learned for centuries that for you to teach someone, you have to be mean, you have to have a strong face, you have to be harsh. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Look, if you put kids in front of Barney, do you know how much they learn in front of TV? In
Yeah.
the cartoons, are they being yelled at? Is anyone yelling at them in the cartoons? But they
Yeah.
learn. They learn
I
because
tell you, I've
everyone
seen
is
so many
chilled
kids
out.
like improve their vocabulary because they watch TV, and then you look at them and say, "Where did you learn that word?" They know the
From
meaning of the word,
TV.
but even an adult, some adults don't know. True,
Absolutely,
true.
I totally agree. A lot of kids improve their vocabulary just from watching because they
Mm.
hear and it's interactive. That's it. We need to. It's a mindset shift. We need to move away from the mindset that you have to be harsh. And I can relate this to even our everyday relationships. I know it doesn't happen in every family, but
Yeah.
maybe like there's some husbands that feel like for their wives to respect them in quote they have to be harsh, they have to turn to monsters. There are people with this kind of mindset, and it doesn't work. You don't attract people by being mean to them. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's a famous quote by Martin Luther King that darkness cannot chase away darkness,
Yeah.
only light can. So my point is you can't use harshness to attract someone. You can't use kids, they'll be scared of you, but there's a difference between fear and respect. That lecturer that told you guys that you're all going to fail, that didn't
Yeah.
make you respect him. That made you guys maybe fear him, and you wanted to distance yourselves away from him. So what has he achieved? How has he taught people if people are running away from him? How has he passed a message? How has he impacted lives? How has he taught anyone?
In
So
fact,
mindset
recently I had to ask the person, if you were, because we were doing this joke and we're asking this question, random question, if you were to put somebody in a mental institution, who would it be? And she came up with the answer, my lecturer, that particular lecturer who told us that we're all going to fail. And she ran away from that class, was going to be put in a mental institution. Like, she looked back and thought, this guy wasn't okay. I don't think he was okay upstairs for him to do that to us and teach us with fear. Yeah. So those are the things you get from students, the students you create when you're like
yeah,
that. Mm-hmm.
exactly. But it's a mindset. And even again, as parents, sometimes we do it. We feel we have to be stern to our kids. Play with your children. This doesn't mean you don't draw the line. There will be boundaries. I yell at my child. I sometimes I will smack him if he's really getting on my nerves, you know. I'm not asking to smack your kid, but sometimes I do it. But I play with him a lot too. I tickle him, we run around, we jump around, we sing together, we dance together. That doesn't mean he's not going to respect me. You
Mm.
can't attract someone that you are harsh towards. Life doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work. So we need to unlearn these things. We need to unlearn this mindset that you have to be horrible. You have to be Mr. Horrid to get someone. It doesn't work like that.
All right, so let me give you the other part of the Canada story. So this graduate is, in fact, he is from OAU. So he graduated from OAU with a third class. So when he got there, a lecturer told him to take an IQ test. And when they saw the type of methods he was using to solve questions, so it turns out he's a genius. Okay, he said, by my results, by my test result, I'm smarter than 99% of the world. And yes, I topped my class. Who would have known? He asked that question. So, taking IQ tests, this method, a lecturer identifying that, okay, something is really great about the student. Let us check out what it is and advising him to take the IQ test. How can this be brought in? I schooled all my life in Nigeria, right? So I've not heard anybody telling me take an IQ test, or I don't even know where they take it. How can this be brought into the educational system to also help students in what they can, in their strengths and their weaknesses, and help bring them up?
Fortunately, I've been very privileged to work in one of the best schools in Abuja, and they used to take these, we call them reasoning tests. They're online tests from a foreign company. So these tests, the kids don't study for it. You don't study. You don't read. You don't practice for it. You just go as you are. Okay, you go as you are. So you have like quantitative, you've got verbal, you have what we call spatial. So there's a particular test where you'll be given shapes and you're to find pattern. It's kind of close to like your quantitative and the verbal reason that we do, but these ones are online and they are automated. So once you do it, it gives you immediate results. And from the questions that you got right or got wrong, it tells you where your strengths are. It tells you if you're stronger with numbers. It tells you if you're stronger with reasoning. It tells you if you're stronger with shapes. And I'm going to tell you something interesting. In that school, we had a lovely child that had autism. Autism is a neurological disorder that affects how people's brains interpret things. You know, it's not the typical way. So this child with autism was the highest in the spatial test. I'm not going to lie to you, even for the test on spatial reasoning, I didn't know it because they can bring 4 shapes that don't even make sense to me. And they'll show you another shape and ask you, which shape is most is nearest to any of these ones. Like, it's really out of what we've learned in school. But if your brain is a certain way, it can help you understand it. So this boy with autism was the highest in that spatial test, and it told us a lot. So the test gives you feedback. So from that test, it'll give you things like encourage this child to go for things like architecture. You can improve this child by giving them things to draw. So it gives you immediate feedback. It's called I think the name of the test is, I can't remember in particular now, but it's an intelligence test, and it really helps because
Is it
it
a
breaks
free
down
test
your.
online, or you have to actually pay to do this?
It's not free. It's a company. I don't know if you want me to mention the company. It's a company based in England, and you can buy the test for your school.
Hmm. Oh, interesting. So, at what age do students encouraged to take this test?
The school I worked in was a primary school, and our kids from primary two, even primary one. Primary one is like 5 years old. So yeah, from 5 years they could take the test. Five,
Hmm.
6 years they
Hmm.
could take the
So,
test.
so,
Yeah.
so we're in a society where parents and even a lot of schools compare children. So this one is doing well, and you're telling the other person, um, is this not your mate? Does he have two heads? Why is he's getting all A's in all his subjects and you are not? You know, you get it from the parents, you get it from students themselves, you also get it from teachers. So they want you to be a high flyer, and so they are pushing you, and you're feeling frustrated. In fact, I've had my son tell me sometimes that I am frustrated because you want me to do something that I don't like, but you want me to be just like the other person. So how do we tackle this? In terms of, yes, we've talked about learning their strengths and trying to build them up like that, based on what they know or what they love to do. How do you tackle this kind of issue, competition amongst students, amongst parents and teachers?
Yeah, there's a thin line between encouragement and being pushy. It's important to encourage your kids. Everyone does better with being encouraged, but sometimes we're crossing to being pushy. And when you're being too pushy, it can make the child say, you know what, I don't even care anymore. I can't kill myself, so to speak, and they just relent. So we need to be sure that we're not being too pushy. And again, it's back to mindset. What are our mindsets about education? A child being the best in class, does that mean the child is the best in the world? Does that mean the child will be the most successful? What do we hold dear? You know, sometimes we're doing these things for our egos. It's, yes, every parent wants the best for their kids, but how do you define the best? Is coming out as first in class, does that mean this child is the best? Being able to read, cram, and regurgitate, does that mean this child is the best? A lot of kids study hard for their exams, myself inclusive. When I was in school, ask me what I learned the next day. Just ask me what I read the next day for the exam. I can't remember. So is that learning? Is that really a true measure of knowledge? So we should encourage our children, and let's give them reasons to want to succeed. Let them love what they're doing. It's not just, oh, cram so you can be the first.
Yeah.
Today's world has shown us that soft skills that a lot of people don't even appreciate or work hard on are things that really matter. Is your child confident? Does your child have empathy for others? Is your child cooperative? Is your child a team worker?
Mm.
Is your child sensitive to the feelings of other people? Can your child speak in public? These are really essential soft skills that will help in real life, but we're not focusing a lot on that. We care more about the position.
Yes.
What I've been
So
using to make
about
money
the
in the past.
positions. When parents come and hammer schools, what's the position of my child in this class? No, we don't give positions, and you're telling the school to give you position. Okay, so we have Constant. Thank you, Constant, again. He said, take a look at Khan Academy. Oh, all right. I used that for my daughter when she was having issues with mathematics. Thank
Yes.
you. Um, Constance, for your contribution. Okay, so what is the role of the government in all of this? So parents are taking initiative and trying to solve the issues that they have in terms of academics for their children. What can government do to make sure we have a very vibrant and quality curriculum to help the students succeed in life?
I think this one of the saddest things that happened to us is the fact that we don't have public schools. Honestly, educating children is the job of the government, ideally. Because if we throw everything to the hands of private individuals, if I own a school today, I want to make money. I'll care about the profits because I invested my time and money in it. That's what I'm going to do. But if we have government schools, they can really focus and get things right. Sadly, a lot of private schools can't even do what they want because parents are the ones paying them. So sometimes they have to limit their standards to satisfy parents because without the parents, they're not getting money. And at the end of the day, who pays the piper dictates the tune, right? So we need to bring back our government schools. I hear there's a fantastic government school here in Lagos, somewhere in Lagos Island. It's a Montessori school and it's fully funded by the government in Lagos. And it's really amazing. The school is very attractive and I think they're doing really well there. We need to get back to those times. But in the absence of that, make things easy for schools. I've worked with a lot of school owners in Abuja and they suffer from the government. The government brings, like heavy taxes, gives them issues, doesn't allow them practice in peace. It's bad enough that our government isn't supporting the educational sector, but now they're even giving them bigger burdens, so they should make operations easier for them. And there should be checks and balances to be sure that they're doing the right things for the kids. If possible, if school owners can get free land for building schools, like if you can say that I'm going to be building a school here and they do their checks, government should be able to provide free land or something. At least do something, at least give an incentive. You haven't built your own schools and private owners that are trying to get their schools, you're still giving them issues, With that, the government should be able to really help and alleviate the struggles of school owners. Because running a school is a big deal, Sylvia. Running a school is not a joke. It's a big deal. It's time consuming. It takes everything. It takes your time. It takes everything. It's not a small thing.
And the parts where you're responsible for a lot of lives. Yes.
Exactly. And one of my bosses used to say that as a teacher, you make or mar lives. If I'm a tailor, if I make a mistake with a dress, it's okay. I can go back to Yaba, Wuse Market to buy another fabric and I'm done. But if you do something to kids, it could have, you haven't forgotten your lecturer. How many years back? You still cannot forget that lecturer, So the effect of teachers are profound and it's not easy to reverse. It's not easy to reverse. So you want to start on a good footing to have a positive impact on your students for life. My lecture that I spoke about for University of Lagos, I left University of Lagos like 14 years ago. What am I even saying? Yeah, like 13 years ago, but I still remember her. I remember how kind she was. I remember how encouraging she was. I remember my lecturer that would always tell stories in class. So teachers have a profound effect on their students. But at the end of the day, we're human beings, Sylvia. If I'm not being treated well, because yes, I'm a teacher, but I have my family problems. I have my health problems. I have my financial problems. So just because I'm a teacher doesn't make me an angel, doesn't make me a superwoman. So if I'm having problems in my place of work, it's going to affect the children. I'm sorry. It's just how it is. It's going to affect the children. So you want to take care of your teachers so they can be their best for their students.
All right. School owners and even governments taking care of the teachers. So we have better students. But yes, we also we've seen where the government and a lot of public officials celebrating first class students, or second class or par. They just celebrate them and give them appointment, like mostly first class. So, what would you say to that kind of encouragement? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. We can do more. There was a viral news. There was a particular contestant in a popular show that was given, I think, a house, was given a car, and people were shocked. Like, what do you give your first class graduates? How do you encourage excellence in education? I
Yes.
saw one where I think a governor, I can't remember, gave a first class student maybe 15,000 naira, like something really meager. And we're like, how will anybody
What
want
was that?
to
15,000 or 15 million?
15,000 was something really tiny. I saw it on WhatsApp. Someone sent it to me and we're like, look at our country. We're not supporting education. We're not putting the hype there. Imagine if a government could say, the first class graduates from my university, once they're out, they get like 5 million naira or something really significant. I think people are going to be motivated to work for that.
Mm.
If we could extend our support for education, people doing well in education, the way we support like entertainment, I think things will go better. We can make our first class students ambassadors for your state.
Mm.
Give them that recognition. That way people will want to learn. A lot of kids now, when you ask them, what do you want to be? We know what they say. You hardly hear, oh, I want to be a lecturer. Who knows any lecturer? Who knows any lecturer that has 30 billion or is a 30 billion gang person? So that's the truth. People are attracted to what they see. That's just how we are, and we can't change that. As humans, we're attracted to what we see. If all we see is a particular set of people being encouraged and others not being noticed, we're going to want to be like that set of people. It's just how we are. It's just
Okay.
how we are.
So more recognition to first class
More
graduates.
recognition, yes.
Yes,
And
even
even
the
to
ones that
brand.
write WAEC, NECO, when they come out with straight A's, we see them making headlines. Yeah. So that is
Yes, they should make headlines. The governor should ask them to come for a visit. They should be noticed. The way we notice our sports heroes, entertainment heroes, let's notice them too. Except we don't think education is vital. Okay, we are in a pandemic now. Who are the people that tried to help us get a vaccine for the pandemic? It's people who have been thoroughly educated, not entertainers, not sportsmen or women. It's people who have gone to school to study, people who have achieved academic excellence. So we really, if we believe they're doing a powerful job, if we believe they're an important pillar in our society, they should be recognized as much as possible.
all right. Thank you so much, Nurat. You've done it again. You've spoken so
Thank
well, and
you.
we are happy you came on the show today.
Thank
Nurat Liadi is an educationist, and she's good at what she does. I mean, like, I feel like taking an IQ test now. Am I too old to take
But
it?
you get, just Google something online. I'm confident you get. There are a lot of things
Even
online
old
you can
people
get.
like me, we can take an IQ test.
Yeah, anyone can. I'm sure when you
Mm.
Google, you can find like personality tests, you can find
Mm.
emotional intelligence tests, you can find IQ tests for free. So you can just do a quick Google search for IQ test or personality or emotional intelligence. I'm sure you find some very interesting ones.
Okay. We love to have you anytime, any day on Click Naija,
Thank
especially on Youth Assembly. Thank you for
Yes,
coming,
it's a
and to
pleasure.
all of you who sent in messages, comments, and asked questions. We appreciate you for you also watching. We appreciate you for watching on Mixlr on our website. We appreciate you for also tuning in at this time to listen to Youth Assembly. We'll be back tomorrow for another interesting edition of Youth Assembly. So today we looked at how the school curriculum can be improved so Nigeria gains more competitive students. I mean, I'm going to take the IQ test so that Nigeria gains. I know where my strength is and focus. I hope you do too. And please, if you are a school owner, you know what to do now. Please do the needful. We appreciate you. Okay, bye for now. Have a fantastic Tuesday,
You
Monday,
too.
and tomorrow we will see you. Bye, Nurats.
Bye, Sylvia. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, here too. The show was produced by Hafsat Isa.